field is the airspace above South Asia, and it is here that Pakistan is quietly rewriting the rules. Pakistan's Air Force has spent decades carefully reshaping its entire outlook on how air warfare should be conducted, and at the heart of this lies the evolution of its air strategy. Unlike many rival nations that often fall into the trap of measuring strength by the number of aircraft or the size of their budget, Pakistan has recognized that modern warfare demands agility, adaptability, and a sharp understanding of asymmetry. Analysts believe that this evolution in strategy is not just about buying planes or flying missions. It is about crafting a doctrine that anticipates where rivals will be vulnerable and exploiting those gaps with precision. For years, Pakistan has operated under the reality that it may not be able to outspend or outnumber its rivals, especially when facing a neighbor like India with a far larger defense budget. Instead of trying to mirror that size, Pakistan's Air Force committed itself to becoming lean, fast, and unpredictable, qualities that can often tilt the balance in high-stakes aerial battles. This evolution has meant constantly updating tactics to suit the shifting nature of threats. In the modern battlefield, dominance is not achieved by simply flying more jets. It comes from integrating surveillance, electronic warfare, drones, and pilot training into a single cohesive approach. Pakistan has been steadily weaving these elements together into a network that allows its air operations to be more versatile and resilient. Analysts highlight that this doctrinal change gives Pakistan the ability to think ahead of its rivals, making it more difficult to trap its aircraft in predictable patterns. It is the difference between fighting a rigid opponent and fighting an opponent that changes its shape in every engagement. This flexibility has been seen in exercises with allied nations, where Pakistan's pilots and planners demonstrated how rapid adjustments in formations and unexpected use of technology could neutralize superior numbers. Another vital aspect of this strategy is how it embraces cost efficiency without compromising effectiveness. By investing in systems that are practical, maintainable, and suitable for Pakistan's operational realities, the Air Force ensures that its fleet remains combat-ready at all times. This approach avoids the pitfall of having a large but often grounded fleet, a problem that has historically plagued some rivals. Analysts point out that this commitment to readiness combined with doctrinal flexibility means that Pakistan's Air Force is always preparing not just to defend, but to outmaneuver, even in scenarios where it appears outmatched on paper. The JF17 Thunder has emerged as one of the most defining elements of Pakistan's aerial strategy, and analysts across the world frequently highlight it as a genuine game-changer in the South Asian theatre. Unlike the heavy, extremely expensive fighters fielded by many rival nations, the JF-17 was conceived with a different philosophy, combining affordability, modern technology, and versatility into one fighter aircraft that can be produced and deployed in large numbers. Pakistan, in collaboration with China, deliberately designed the JF-17 to be more than just an aircraft. It is a strategic tool that allows the country to maintain a combat-ready fleet without becoming financially crippled by the soaring costs of Western jets like the Rafale or the F-16 Block 70. The Thunder is tailored to Pakistan's defense needs, its operational terrain, and its budgetary realities, making it a fighter that is not only effective in combat, but also sustainable in the long term. What makes analysts take this aircraft so seriously is its balance of advanced avionics, weapon systems, and upgrade potential. The JF-17 Block 3 variant, in particular, introduces modern features like an active electronically scanned array, AESA, radar, helmet-mounted displays, electronic warfare suites, and the ability to carry long-range beyond visual range, BVR, missiles. These capabilities significantly enhance situational awareness and first-shot advantage, allowing Pakistani pilots to engage threats at distances that level the playing field against far costlier jets flown by rivals. In modern air combat, where the pilot who sees the enemy first and locks on first usually dictates the outcome, the JF-17's upgrades position it as a lethal adversary. Moreover, it integrates smoothly with Pakistan's broader air defense strategy, connecting with ground radars, electronic warfare systems, and drones to create a layered and resilient aerial shield. Another aspect that analysts emphasize is the psychological impact of the JF-17. By producing it locally in partnership with China, Pakistan has not only reduced dependence on foreign suppliers, but has also sent a clear message to rivals that it is capable of sustaining and expanding its fleet on its own terms. This independence in production means sanctions or political pressures from Western powers cannot easily cripple Pakistan's air capabilities. It also demonstrates to the international community that Pakistan is building indigenous defense capacity, which bolsters national pride and strategic credibility. When the JF-17 downed an Indian aircraft during the 2019 aerial confrontation, it didn't just mark a tactical victory, it symbolized how an affordable yet sophisticated platform could redefine regional balances. Analysts believe that this fighter, adaptable and scalable for decades to come, is at the heart of why Pakistan could continue to outmaneuver rivals in the sky. Analysts observing Pakistan's Air Force have repeatedly pointed out that one of the most decisive areas where it has gained an edge is in the integration of electronic warfare systems and drones into its operational doctrine. In modern warfare, the contest is no longer just about how fast an aircraft can fly or how many missiles it can carry. It is about who can see first, disrupt first, and deny the enemy the ability to fight effectively. Electronic warfare lies at the heart of this new reality, and Pakistan has invested heavily in systems designed to jam enemy radars, scramble communications, and blind surveillance platforms. By doing so, it can create confusion in rival air forces, forcing them to second-guess their radar screens and hesitate in engaging targets. That hesitation is often enough to allow a smaller but smarter force to seize control of contested airspace. Alongside these systems, drones have become another cornerstone of Pakistan's aerial evolution. Unmanned aerial vehicles not only provide real-time intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, but can also serve offensive roles, carrying precision-guided munitions to strike at high-value targets without risking the lives of pilots. The integration of drones into air defense networks means that Pakistan can stretch its surveillance blanket over wide areas at relatively low cost while keeping its manned fighters free for more critical missions. In contested environments, drones act as both scouts and decoys, forcing enemy radars and missiles to reveal themselves while manned aircraft remain hidden and protected. This combination of electronic warfare and drones changes the geometry of the battlefield, turning it into an arena where numbers matter less than smart systems and coordinated responses. What gives Pakistan further strength in this domain is its willingness to collaborate with partners like China and Turkey, both of which are leaders in drone technology and electronic warfare solutions. Systems acquired and adapted through these partnerships have been tested in regional conflicts and then tailored to fit Pakistan's own operational needs. The result is a constantly evolving ecosystem of platforms that talk to each other, disrupt enemy coordination, and provide layers of protection and offensive punch. Analysts argue that this adaptability makes Pakistan's Air Force uniquely suited for 21st century aerial warfare, where winning is less about direct confrontation and more about making the enemy fight in the dark. With these technologies, Pakistan is positioning itself to dominate the invisible dimensions of the sky, where signals, data, and interference are every bit as decisive as missiles and bombs. One of the most consistent themes analysts highlight when studying Pakistan's Air Force is the remarkable quality of its pilot training and the depth of its combat experience. Unlike many nations where pilots may fly advanced aircraft but rarely face real operational tests, Pakistani pilots have been shaped by decades of exposure to both training intensity and live combat scenarios. The Air Force has maintained a reputation for producing pilots who combine technical proficiency with instinctive tactical thinking, an asset that becomes decisive in situations where speed of decision-making means the difference between victory and defeat. Training in Pakistan is designed to push pilots not only to master the technical aspects of flying, but also to think like battlefield commanders capable of adapting mid-mission when conditions suddenly change. This flexibility, drilled into them from the beginning, is what allows them to counter rivals who may have access to newer jets or greater numbers, but lack the ability to improvise effectively under pressure. Combat experience has further reinforced this edge. From skirmishes with India to participation in multinational exercises and real-world counter-terrorism missions, Pakistan's pilots have flown and fought in environments that test endurance, precision, and nerves. The 2019 aerial engagements between Pakistan and India provided a dramatic example for analysts worldwide, as Pakistani pilots showcased not only courage, but also a mastery of tactics that caught a numerically superior force off guard. These episodes are studied internationally as case studies in how a smaller air force can achieve parity and, in some instances, superiority through skill and planning rather than sheer size. Every such experience becomes part of the institutional memory of the Air Force, feeding into training programs and ensuring that younger pilots learn from the practical lessons of their predecessors rather than theoretical simulations alone. Beyond direct combat, Pakistan's pilots also gain valuable exposure by participating in joint exercises with countries such as China, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and even Western nations at various times. These exercises provide a chance to measure themselves against diverse flying doctrines, technologies, and strategies, sharpening their ability to adapt to different kinds of adversaries. Analysts believe this global exposure gives Pakistani pilots a unique advantage, as they are accustomed to encountering a wide spectrum of flying styles and tactics. All of this builds into a larger picture of an air force, where human skill multiplies the effectiveness of machines. Sophisticated aircraft and electronic systems are crucial, but when they are in the hands of pilots trained to exploit every weakness and maneuver under intense pressure, they become far more than machines. They become extensions of strategy itself. Analysts often stress that one of Pakistan's greatest strengths in maintaining an edge over rivals in the sky lies in its commitment to international collaborations and technology transfer. Unlike countries that rely solely on purchasing off-the-shelf systems, Pakistan has built partnerships that not only deliver modern weapons and platforms, but also ensure the flow of knowledge, skills, and industrial capacity back into its own defense sector. The partnership with China is the most visible example of this, as it produced the JF17 Thunder, a fighter jet that Pakistan did not just buy, but helped design, assemble, and refine. This collaboration gave Pakistan more than an aircraft. It gave it a template for co-development, where upgrades and future modifications can be done indigenously without waiting on foreign suppliers. That ability to control and customize technology is what makes the Air Force increasingly resilient and self-sufficient. Technology transfer is equally critical because it transforms Pakistan from being a consumer of defense products into a participant in their creation. Collaborations with Turkey on drones and electronic warfare systems, as well as joint ventures with countries in the Middle East, demonstrate how Pakistan has used these partnerships to steadily expand its technical expertise. These projects mean that the next generation of weapon systems will not simply be imported but produced locally, tailored to the unique operational needs of Pakistan's Air Force. Analysts argue that this independence insulates Pakistan from external political pressures, since its capabilities cannot be so easily restricted by sanctions, embargoes, or shifting alliances. It also allows Pakistan to modernize faster, since upgrades can be rolled out as soon as they are ready rather than waiting for approvals from foreign governments. Another dimension of collaboration lies in shared training and exercises, where exposure to the doctrines of allies helps refine Pakistan's own combat strategies. Every joint operation with China, Turkey, or Saudi Arabia, and even occasional drills with Western forces, brings opportunities to absorb best practices and identify weaknesses in real time. This constant learning process keeps Pakistan from becoming stagnant, a risk that many air forces face when they grow dependent on one supplier or one doctrine. By diversifying its partnerships and demanding meaningful technology transfer in its deals, Pakistan has ensured that its air force is not just keeping up with rivals, but is often one step ahead in operational readiness. Analysts view this approach as a form of strategic insurance. While rivals may have more resources or larger fleets, Pakistan's collaborative model allows it to punch above its weight, evolve continuously, and surprise adversaries with capabilities they may not have anticipated. Analysts observing Pakistan's air force often highlight its doctrine of agility over size as one of the most significant reasons it could outmaneuver rivals in the sky. This doctrine is rooted in a realistic assessment of Pakistan's defense landscape, where matching larger neighbors' aircraft for aircraft or dollar for dollar is simply not practical. Instead of chasing numerical superiority, Pakistan has built an air strategy that emphasizes speed of deployment, adaptability in tactics, and maximum efficiency from every available resource. The philosophy is simple but powerful. A smaller, highly mobile, and better coordinated force can often outperform a larger but slower and less flexible rival. This way of thinking allows Pakistan to remain competitive despite budgetary constraints and ensures that its air force operates with a clarity of purpose that many bigger forces sometimes lack. Agility in this context does not only mean maneuverability in the air, though that is certainly part of it. It also means the ability to rapidly shift strategies, redeploy assets, and adapt to the changing character of conflict. When rivals expect a conventional response, Pakistan's Air Force seeks to deliver an unconventional one, whether that is by using drones to mask the movement of manned aircraft, electronic warfare to blind radar, or smaller squadrons to strike at vulnerabilities instead of confronting the enemy head-on. By prioritizing flexibility, the Air Force avoids being locked into rigid strategies that become predictable and exploitable. Analysts point out that this doctrine has been tested in real situations, most notably during periods of heightened tensions with India, where rapid tactical shifts allowed Pakistan to neutralize threats without escalating to a point of exhaustion. This approach is also deeply linked to training and planning, as agility cannot be achieved simply by flying faster planes. It requires a mindset among pilots and commanders that values initiative, improvisation, and the confidence to act decisively in uncertain situations. Exercises and simulations are designed to encourage these qualities, ensuring that pilots think dynamically rather than follow pre-scripted maneuvers. Combined with technologies like the JF17 Thunder, electronic warfare systems, and drones, this doctrine gives Pakistan the ability to maximize its assets far beyond their raw numbers. For analysts, the doctrine of agility over size represents more than just a defensive necessity. It is a forward-looking strategy for air combat in the 21st century, where wars will be won not by the largest fleets, but by the fastest thinkers and the most adaptable systems. What analysts see is not just an air force, but a mindset, an institution built on agility, sharpened by combat experience, empowered by homegrown technology, and reinforced by international collaboration. Pakistan's strategy does not depend on matching rivals' aircraft or dollar for dollar. It depends on thinking faster, adapting smarter, and striking with precision when it matters most. In the skies, size may impress on paper, but it is agility that wins battles. And that is why so many believe that when the next contest for aerial supremacy unfolds, Pakistan could very well outmaneuver its rivals and redefine what true air dominance looks like.